Welcome to the Classic Soap Operas podcast. Today we are diving deep, really deep, into the world of Days of Our Lives.
Oh, yeah.
And specifically, we're tackling that absolutely wild decade, the 1980s.
Uh-huh. It's definitely something else.
And we're doing this using some amazing source material, these detailed excerpts from Days of Our Lives, the 1980s recap, covering 1980 right through to 1989.
That's right. It's like having a time machine. Seriously. This stuff covers, well, pretty much everything pivotal that happened in Salem during those 10 years.
We're talking the big family sagas, the villains you love to hate.
Oh, the villains. Definitely the villains.
Shocking deaths, maybe even more shocking returns.
Ha! Yeah, the revolving door of presumed death.
And those epic romances that somehow managed to survive it all. Or, didn't.
Sometimes very much didn't. It's quite the mix.
So our mission today, in this deep dive, is to walk you, our listener, chronologically through the absolute highlights from these recaps. We're hitting the major events, the character arcs, those big dramatic tentpoles, all as it's laid out right here in the source.
Yep. The goal is to give you a really clear, quick, but still, thorough picture of what Salem was like back then. We're pulling out the key insights, those really memorable, sometimes unbelievable moments.
Think of it like your cheat sheet to the heart of Days in the 80s.
Exactly. We'll see how the stories evolved, spot those classic soap tropes in action, oh boy, are there tropes, and get a handle on the key players and their, well, endless drama.
Okay, buckle up. Because these recaps promise one heck of a ride through love, betrayal, loss, and some seriously persistent villains.
No kidding. Where do we start? 1980.
Let's do it. Right at the beginning, 1980. The source material sets this up as the year for beginnings of betrayal, loss, new loves. Yeah. Really laying the groundwork. And a huge chunk focuses right away on the Anderson and Martin family drama.
It doesn't waste any time, does it? One of the first big things detailed is Linda revealing her pregnancy was fake to Bob.
Oof. That's a big one to start with.
Yeah, and the consequences are immediate. The source says Bob just cuts her out, writes her out of his will completely.
Wow. No messing around.
None. But then, in a move that feels maybe a little bit like plot mechanics, he offers her a settlement, but she has to take Melissa and just leave town.
Okay, so buy her silence and get her out of the picture.
Pretty much. And the source confirms she takes the deal, they're gone. It wraps that up really quickly, almost like, clearing the stage.
Clearing the stage for... Well, guess what? More family drama.
Always.
Because right after that, the source hits us with the Stephanie Brooke reveal. Stephanie confesses she's actually Bob's daughter, Brooke.
Ah, the secret child appears.
Oh,
classic.
Total classic. Bob accepts her, adds her to the will. Seems like a happy reunion, right?
For about 5 minutes, maybe?
Huh. Exactly. The source delivers this absolute gut punch. Tragically, she's killed in a car accident almost immediately after this reveal.
Wow. Talk about whiplash. Find your daughter, welcome her, and bam, she's gone.
It really hammers home that theme, doesn't it? Like, happiness in Salem is fleeting.
Extremely fleeting. And the tragedy doesn't stop there. Right after Brooke's death, Bob himself dies.
No. How?
The source says he has a massive heart attack right at Alex and Mary's wedding.
At their wedding. Oh, my gosh.
Yeah. Talk about overshadowing the nuptials. A moment of supposed joy turns into, well, death and chaos, impacting multiple families instantly.
That timing is brutal. And what does this do to Mary? It's her wedding day.
It's devastating for her. The source notes she's just wrecked. She blames Phyllis for Bob's death, actually, which drives Phyllis out of Salem.
So grief turns to blame, pushing people away.
Totally. And Mary is unresponsive to Alex, her brand new husband. Their marriage is strained from literally day one. Plus, the source mentions she still has feelings for Chris, and she's clashing with Alex over the company.
Oh, right, the company conflict.
Yeah, it escalates. Mary actively opposes Alex trying to interfere in Anderson manufacturing. She divorces him. Then she finds out David's been spying for Alex inside the company.
Whoa, so she tells him to get lost.
Yep. Tells him to leave town, and the source adds he does, partly because he's afraid of these powerful men he apparently failed earlier. So, you see, right away, business and personal lives are completely tangled.
It's fascinating.
Yeah.
Corporate power isn't just background noise, it's driving the personal drama. And besides the Andersons and Martins, 1980 introduces other key stuff.
Oh, yeah, plenty. The source mentions a brief affair between Don and Liz Chandler, fleeting, but it's there.
Okay.
And then there's a really heavy, tragic storyline for Marlena.
Oh, what happens?
The source details her baby is born prematurely and dies of sudden infant death syndrome.
Oh, Marlena. That's awful.
It's incredibly sad. And the fallout is huge for her marriage to Don. The source points out that Don actually blames Marlena's work habits for the loss.
He blames her. Oh, that's harsh.
Yeah. And that blame, that grief, it leads directly to the end of their marriage. It's a really profound loss for her, and it ends her marriage under just terrible circumstances.
That definitely sounds like something that would shape her character for years. Elsewhere, the source mentions Mike and Margot having money troubles.
Uh-huh. Mike's in debt to Mickey, and they have to move to the farm to be safe. Safety from who, it doesn't quite specify, but debt collectors, maybe worse.
Has a bit of mystery. And Trish and Earl.
Yeah, Trish confronts Earl because he scammed Margot out of a diamond. Earl skips town because he's afraid his other illegal stuff will come out. And then the source just notes Margot dies shortly after this.
So Earl's scam had potentially fatal consequences for Margot. Yikes.
Seems like it. It's all interconnected. Marie's story also starts planting seeds here. She's looking for the child she gave up at birth.
Okay.
And discovers that child is Jessica Blake, who's already living in Salem.
Whoa. And Alex is involved somehow.
Yeah, Alex is trying to get back with Marie, but he has no idea Jessica is his daughter, too. Marie's resisting him, holding this huge secret.
Oh, the dramatic irony. You just know that's going to explode down the line. Classic soap setup.
Totally. And then you've got Liz and Neil getting involved, but her dad, Kellum, interferes. Plus, Neil starts struggling with gambling again, so family opposition, personal demons, recurring hurdles for sure.
It seems like relationships face challenges from every direction.
Absolutely. And maybe one of the most manipulative storylines kicking off in 1980 involves Lee.
Doug's wife. What's she up to?
Well, Doug and Julie are getting closer, and Lee is not having it. The source says she hires a hitman, Brent Kavanaugh, to go after Julie.
She hires a hitman. Okay, that's extreme. Did it work?
The attempt failed, thankfully. But Lee doesn't give up. The source details how she then deliberately misuses her medication to seem sicker than she is.
No way.
Yeah, leveraging guilt and this fake illness to keep Doug tied to her side.
Wow. That's next level manipulation.
Yeah.
Using sickness like that, it really sets a dark tone for a character.
Definitely. And we mentioned David leaving town earlier, fearing powerful men. That hints at this whole underworld lurking just beneath the surface, which, is going to blow up later.
Absolutely. So looking back at 1980 through these recaps,
Yeah.
it feels like they just threw everything at the wall, didn't they?
Pretty much. It's all foundation laying. You've got the core families, the deep secrets like hidden kids, the business and personal lives all tangled up, and characters go into, extreme lengths for love or revenge.
It sets a pace and intensity. You get the secrets, the betrayals, the sudden deaths,
Yeah.
people skipping town.
Yeah.
You just know it's only going to escalate from here.
It absolutely establishes the template for the decade. All that groundwork for the crazy web of relationships and power struggles to come.
All right, let's hold on tight then, because 1981, according to this source material, takes all that and just amps it up. More schemes, a serial killer, and the DeMeras arrive.
Oh, yeah. 1981 is a big one. Lee's manipulation, still going strong. She's using that illness to keep Doug wrapped around her finger.
Of course she is.
But then, get this, one of those wild soap twists, she actually saves Julie's life.
What? After hiring someone to kill her?
Yep. The hitman, Brent Kavanaugh, comes back for another go, and Lee pushes Julie out of the way. Saves her from the guy she hired.
That is bafflingly complex. What happens to Lee after that?
She ends up in baby sanitarium for a while, then gets released. Doug and Julie finally move in together. They remarry, seem to have a moment of peace.
Finally.
But Lee's not done messing with them. The source says she manages to turn Hope against Julie. Hope actually chooses to leave Doug and Julie and go live with Tom and Alice.
Ugh. Even from the sanitarium, she causes trouble. That emotional manipulation runs deep.
It really does. Meanwhile, the Jessica Blake story explodes. Alex adopts Jessica. Then Marie finally tells him the truth. Jessica is their biological daughter.
Secret's out. How does Jessica take it?
Not well. The source says she's furious with Marie, understandably. Marie leaves the convent planning to marry Alex, but they postpone when Jessica runs away. Marie moves in with Alex, but resists intimacy, postponing again. Jessica even tries joining the convent herself.
That's a roller coaster. All stemming from that one secret.
And then it takes a really dark turn. The source details that Jessica develops multiple personality disorder.
Ooh. Okay, that's moving into some heavy psychological territory for the time.
Definitely adds a whole new layer of conflict for her character. Mary's still around too, scheming to keep Marie and Alex apart. And then a big whodunit kicks off. Alex gets shot. He's paralyzed.
Shot and paralyzed. Who did it?
Rene Dumond is arrested, but Alex can't identify the shooter. So The mystery begins.
Okay, the stakes are definitely rising. Shootings, paralysis, what else is going on?
We get the Maggie, Evan, and Sarah story unfolding. Maggie uses artificial insemination, gets pregnant, has baby Sarah. Then Dr. Evan Weiland finds out he was the sperm donor. He starts getting really involved with Maggie, doting on her, which leads to a custody battle over Sarah.
The complexities of modern families, 80s style, custody battle.
Exactly. And here's a really dark, difficult storyline point mentioned for 1981. Kellum, Liz's father, he grapes Marlene.
Oh, my God. That's horrifying.
It is. His son Josh tries to kill him for it. But Kellum's other son, Todd, steps in and ends up killing Kellum to protect Josh.
So Todd kills his own father.
Yeah. And the source explicitly states that the grape attack on Marlena is kept secret by everyone involved.
That's an absolutely crushing secret for those characters to carry. Wow.
And right after that trauma, Salem gets a new terror, the Salem Strangler.
A serial killer. Oh, boy.
Yeah, targeting women. The recap specifically mentioned Marlena being terrorized by the Strangler.
After everything else she's been through, now a serial killer is after her.
It escalates the danger level massively, you know. It's not just personal drama anymore, it's a citywide threat. And the source connects Jessica with her alternate personalities to a guy named Jake Kosacek, who seems involved in this Strangler storyline somehow.
Okay, things are getting seriously dark and twisted.
And then the big arrival. The one that changes everything for the decade.
Don't tell me.
Yep. Enter the DiMeras. Tony DiMera, son of the infamous Stefano, shows up in Salem, ostensibly to get his wife Liz back.
Stefano arrives.
And the source adds Tony immediately gets interested in Renee, and Lee, naturally, starts interfering.
The DiMeras, this is where the real long-term villainy starts, right?
Absolutely. Their arrival brings this sense of powerful, organized evil. They become the puppet masters. The year wraps up, according to the source, with a New Year's Eve gala hosted by Liz, where the Strangler tries to kill Renee.
Twice. One night.
Ending the year with a serial killer cliffhanger. 1981 feels like the year days really locked into its 80s identity. Darker, more psychological, and the arrival of the DiMeras. Totally agree. The shift is clear. We go from, like, somewhat grounded family and business drama, still dramatic, but grounded to serial killers, multiple personalities, and this major crime family setting up shop. The intensity level just shot way up.
Okay, let's dive into 1982. The source material says this is Stefano's year. He arrives in person, and we see alliances shifting under his influence.
Stefano DiMera himself makes his grand entrance, and boom, immediate family secrets revealed. Lee confesses Renee isn't her sister, she's actually Stefano's daughter.
Wait, Lee is Renee's mother, and Stefano's the father?
Yep. Big identity shift for Renee, puts her right in the DiMera orbit. And Stefano. He shows his cards immediately. The source says he fakes a heart attack almost right away just to keep Tony and Renee from leaving Salem.
Fakes a heart attack, wow. That's quite an opening move. Shows he'll do anything for control.
Exactly. Meanwhile, the Strangler mystery is still ongoing. Eugene Bradford confesses, sounds like it's over.
But it's not, right?
Nope. The source clarifies the murders continue, so Eugene's confession is false. Classic red herring.
Keeping us guessing. What about Tony and Liz?
Tony's still trying to control her, forcing her to stay because their divorce isn't final. And, oh yeah, the source notes Linda, Phyllis, and Melissa all come back to Salem this year.
The revolving door keeps spinning. More characters, more drama.
You got it. The custody battle over Sarah. Evan tries again, but Mickey and Maggie win. David gets into trouble, arrested for shooting Alex, which the source confirms he didn't do.
So he's wrongly accused and suspected of being the Strangler, too. Salem PD is having a rough time.
Seems like it. But the Strangler storyline does finally wrap up in 82. In a really tragic twist, Samantha is killed. The killer thought she was Marlena.
Oh, no. So Marlena was the target again. Who was the killer?
Revealed to be Jake Kosacek. After Roman Brady confronts him, the source says Jake unalived himself.
Wow. So that dark chapter closes, but there must be fallout.
Oh, yeah. Jake's brother Chris feels incredibly guilty and finds comfort with Roman's sister Kayla. And Josh and Jessica, after all that MPD storyline, they get married and leave town. So Jessica's story gets a resolution there.
Okay, so some closure. But Stefano's just getting started, right?
Absolutely consolidating power. Alex and Evan. They're working for Stefano now. Mickey Horton starts poking around Stefano's business. Big mistake. Stefano has him kidnapped and held prisoner on his private island.
Kidnapped Mickey. Does everyone think he's dead?
Yep. The source says everyone back in Salem believes Mickey Horton is dead.
Another presumed death.
Mm-hmm.
Stefano is ruthless. Renee's life is still chaotic.
Oh, yeah. She marries David. Tony tries to stop it, especially when he finds out they aren't siblings, thanks to Lee's lie earlier. That DiMera family tree is just knots and secrets. It really shows how those past secrets just keep messing things up. Liz is pregnant now.
Pregnant with Neil's baby, but Tony thinks it's his. Liz pushes Neil away, trying to protect him from Tony and Stefano. So Neil, heartbroken, turns to Marie. Relationships are just constantly shifting based on lies and threats.
And here's a huge development. Roman Brady and Marlena Evans. They become involved. One of the show's most iconic couples starts right here.
The legendary Roman and Marlena.
Yeah.
But there has to be a complication, right? It's a soap.
Of course. Roman's long-lost wife, Anna, shows up, back from the quote-unquote dead, or just missing anyway, and she brings their daughter, Carrie.
Whoa. Roman has another wife and kid.
Yep. And Anna, the source notes, immediately starts using Carrie against Roman. Plus, she's secretly working for Stefano DiMera to discredit Roman.
Working for Stefano. Okay, this triangle is set up for maximum drama. Anna becomes an instant obstacle.
Foundational conflict right there. Stefano wants revenge because Roman messed with his organization. The year ends with a few other relationships budding, Abe and Danny competing for Nikki, Chris dating Kayla, Eugene with Gwen, and Don tells Maggie he loves her.
So 1982. Stefano arrives, takes center stage, the Strangler arc ends, but the DiMera threat becomes the main engine, pulling in heroes like Roman, creating iconic pairings, and setting up conflicts for years.
Absolutely. It's a massive transition year. It solidifies those core struggles and relationships that will define the rest of the 80s.
Okay, on to 1983. Our source says this is the year of Stefano's death, inheritance games, and more new loves and major heartaches.
Alex Marshall is now fully Stefano's right-hand man, and apparently, according to the source, he makes these hilariously bad attempts to kill Kayla Brady and Alice Horton. Fails both times.
So he's more like a bumbling henchman.
Seems like it sometimes. His villainy is more about causing chaos than successful murder. Liz is still trying to divorce Tony, catches him with Renee, but can't get proof. Then Stefano pulls another classic. Kidnaps Marlena and Liz.
He just keeps kidnapping people. Do they finally catch him?
They do. He's captured, but then, the source notes, he appears to die of a massive coronary while he's in prison.
Appears to die. Uh-oh. I sense a loophole.
Oh, a massive one. It's the presumed dead villain trope. Gets him off screen temporarily, but leaves the door wide open for his return, which, let's face it, everyone knew was coming.
Right. But his will still causes trouble.
Right. Big time. The will dictates Tony and Renee must live together for a year to get their inheritance, plus a $5 million bonus for the first grandchild born to Stefano.
$5 million, that's huge incentive.
Totally. So this forces Renee, David, and Scotty to move into the DiMera mansion with Tony and Anna. Instant awkward drama, courtesy of a dead guy's will.
Such a classic soap opera move. Liz's story sounds like a whirlwind this year.
It's insane. She gives birth, but she's unconscious, can't tell anyone Neil's the father. Neil, in the confusion, marries Marie before finding out the truth. Tony finally divorces Liz. Then, Neil and Marie's marriage ends when Liz accidentally shoots Marie, thinking she's an intruder.
Shoots Marie, oh my gosh.
Yeah. Liz gets convicted of attempted murder, almost remarries Neil in prison, but gets wounded during an escape attempt and develops, wait for it, amnesia.
Amnesia. Of course. What does she remember?
The source specifies she only remembers being married to Don, wipes out everything recent.
That is a felon for one character in 1 year. Amnesia, the great reset button.
Totally. While all that's happening, Roman and Marlena actually get married.
Yay. Moment of happiness.
Well, sort of. Attempts on Roman's life continue, so he goes undercover to find Stefano, confirming what we suspected: Stefano faked his death.
Knew it. And Mickey comes back this year, too.
Yep. Escapes Stefano's island, returns to Salem, and, in perfect soap timing, has a non-fatal heart attack when he walks in on Maggie and Don declaring their love.
Oh, Mickey. His return immediately causes drama.
Always. Renee's story takes a dark turn, though. She briefly marries Alex, exposes his schemes, lashes out at people, and then the source says she's found dead shortly after.
Renee dies. Just like that. Feels like getting tangled with the DiMeras is hazardous to your health.
Extremely. And just as that ends, another familiar plot starts up. A new serial killer is loose in Salem.
Again?
Yep. And guess who gets framed as the prime suspect?
Let me guess. Roman.
Roman Brady. Framed again. Marlena and Alice Horton help him escape jail so he can find the real killer and clear his name. The trail leads him to L.A.
On the run again. Does he find anyone to help?
An unlikely ally. His ex-wife, Anna. She's hiding out in L.A., running from Alex Marshall. Their daughter Carrie stays back in Salem with Marlena, so Roman's a fugitive, hunting a killer and reconnecting with Hannah under duress.
This echoes the last serial killer plot, but with Roman framed and on the run. And 1983 also brings,
The beginning of Beau and Hope.
yes, the iconic super couple. How does it start?
Hope Williams is reintroduced, all grown up now, and meets Roman's younger brother, Beau Brady. The source says there's instant chemistry, undeniable attraction. They fight until her 18th birthday.
Okay, then what?
They almost make love, but they're interrupted by Hope's dad, Doug.
Doug walks in on them. Oh no!
And the shock is so great, the source says Doug has a heart attack right then and there.
Wow. Their first real moment together causes a medical emergency for her dad. That sets the stakes high immediately.
Totally. Talk about instant drama. 1983 feels huge, wrapping up Renee's story, confirming Stefano's fake death, another serial killer, and launching Beau and Hope with a bang.
It really feels like a turning point year, resolving some things but spinning off major new plots that will dominate.
Definitely transitions and consolidates, setting the stage for the mid-80s chaos.
Let's jump into 1984. The source material suggests this year is full of fake deaths, a plane crash, and returning faces.
Beau and Hope start the year facing hurdles, obviously, trying to stay apart for Doug's sake after his heart attack. But then Hope gets forced into marrying Larry Welch, the crooked DA, to protect Beau somehow.
Forced marriage. Classic. Is it legit?
Source says, nope, legally invalid, thank goodness. But Beau and Hope do finally get their moment, making love in New Orleans, exchanging these really romantic vows, even if they aren't legally binding yet.
Aw, finding romance amidst the obstacles. Meanwhile, Stefano's still scheming.
Oh yeah, from the shadows. The source confirms he's behind murders being committed by Andre DeMera, who is Tony's identical cousin.
Identical cousin. Okay, the tropes are coming thick and fast now. Where's the real Tony?
Stefano has him and Anna imprisoned somewhere. And Roman, still framed and on the run, fakes his own death to try and finally outsmart Stefano.
Roman fakes his death now, too. We need a chart for who's dead, presumed dead, or faking death.
Seriously, it gets confusing. Amidst all this, Liz gets her memory back from the 1983 amnesia.
Oh, good. Does she get back with Neil?
She does. They get married. Finally, some stability for Liz. Maggie and Don, though, they break up, even though Maggie divorced Mickey.
Aw, too bad for them. Now, what's this about a prism and a plane crash?
Okay, this is a big adventure plot detailed in the source. There's this mysterious prism necklace, passes from Daphne to Melissa to Calliope, then to Tony. A whole bunch of characters, Eugene, Calliope, Beau, Hope, Anna, Liz, Carlo, Daphne, Andre, and Tony are on a flight for a fashion shoot.
That's quite the passenger list.
Right. Stefano's plan is apparently to capture and imprison all of them, but the plane crashes.
The plane crashes, with all of them on board.
Yep. Major event. Strands them all on a remote island.
Okay, island survival time. What happens there?
The source describes the immediate aftermath. Daphne dies in Andre's arms, a weirdly poignant moment for the villain. Then Andre himself dies fighting Tony, falls into quicksand.
Andre dies. So the evil twin plot resolves violently. Who survives?
The rest of them survive and have to figure things out on the island. Tony gives the prism necklace to a native girl named Jasmine, but the source assures us it eventually gets back to Stefano, so the prism is still in play.
That prism is important. And Romy gets involved? He's supposed to be dead.
Well, dead Roman joins the search party for the island survivors. This leads to a big showdown with Stefano on the island.
Roman versus Stefano. What happens?
Romy gets shot, falls off a cliff, and is presumed dead again, this time apparently dying in Beau's arms.
He dies again? Oh my gosh. Poor Roman.
Yeah.
Or poor Roman.
Yeah. This death has big consequences back in Salem, though. They hold a memorial service for Roman, and this brings Kimberly Brady back to town.
Roman's sister Kimberly returns. Anyone else arrive?
Yep. Beau's ex-girlfriend, Megan Hathaway, shows up, and the source reveals she's Stefano's daughter.
Another DeMera offspring. That's going to complicate things for Beau and Hope.
You bet. Hope, meanwhile, goes through a major change this year. She exposes Larry Welch as corrupt and then becomes a police officer.
Hope becomes a cop. Wow. From ingenue to officer. That's great character growth.
It really is, stepping into her power. Linda's still causing trouble for Melissa, trying to drive her crazy over selling Anderson shares. And the year ends on a cliffhanger. A mystery man is seen running from an explosion at Anderson Manufacturing on New Year's Eve.
Who is it? What happened? Gotta love a New Year's Eve mystery explosion. 1984 sounds absolutely packed. Adventure, mystery, presumed deaths, galore, evil twins, Hope's transformation. The island arc alone sounds nuts.
It definitely delivered high-octane drama, combining that physical peril with the ongoing family sagas and setting up new conflicts with Megan and Kimberly's return. Major stuff.
Okay, let's move into 1985. The source material points to more villains, the arrival of ISA agents, and a more global feel.
Kicks off with a bang. Megan Hathaway is
Murdered after just arriving.
Who gets blamed? Hope is framed for it, and Stefano, furious, blames the entire Brady family. He tries to kidnap Marlena and the twins in retaliation.
Stefano goes after the twins. Does Marlena fight back?
She does. The source says Marlena shoots Stefano during the confrontation. She's later tried for it but gets off on a mistrial.
Marlena shoots Stefano. Wow, the conflict is definitely personal now. What's this about ISA agents?
A new plot thread introduces international intrigue. A bad guy called the Dragon, an anti-monarchist, kills Emma Donovan. Emma turns out to be Shane Donovan's ex-wife and an ISA agent.
Shane Donovan arrives, and he's ISA.
Yep. Brings the spy element into Days. Bo, Hope, and Shane team up, track the Dragon to London, and capture him. He dies trying to kill Shane.
So Bo and Hope go international. To London.
Yeah, expands the scope. And as a reward for catching the Dragon, this Lady Joanna character in London throws a huge, lavish wedding for Bo and Hope. They finally get legally married.
Yay! They deserve it after all that. So Shane is sticking around.
He is, and he starts dating Kimberly Brady. But Kimberly has a brief affair with a new major villain, Victor Kiriakis.
Victor Kiriakis arrives. Another big bad. Why the affair?
Kimberly suffers stress-related blindness after it, but the source adds a twist. The affair was partly strategic. It helped Shane gather clues against Victor's crooked family and criminal empire.
Whoa, so Kimberly made a morally gray choice for the greater good. Interesting.
Very. Victor is immediately set up as this powerful, ruthless force, another major threat alongside Stefano. Bo, Hope, Shane, and Kimberly then unite for this big mystery, trying to destroy Victor by solving the puzzle of the power, the purse, and the pawn.
Power, purse, pawn. What does that mean?
The source reveals their identities. Stefano is the power, Victor is the purse, and the pawn is some unidentified man.
So Stefano and Victor are connected in this underworld structure, even if they're rivals.
Okay.
What about the Anderson fire mystery from last year?
Alex Marshall and Linda, who set the fire, are still up to no good. Larry Welch figures out they were involved and starts blackmailing them. Melissa finds out her mom was responsible and has to go into hiding. Again.
Poor Melissa.
Yeah.
Her life is constant chaos. What happens while she's hiding?
Runs into Ivy Selecto. Turns out Ivy is Pete's ex and pregnant with his kid. Pete marries Ivy. Melissa also has a brief affair with her married parole officer, Ian.
Oh boy, more complications. Does it get worse for Melissa?
It does. She gets framed for drug dealing. Then she's chased by the cops and by Victor's goons because she accidentally got hold of some photos Victor wanted back.
Chased by Kiriakis' men too. It helps her.
Pete joins her on the run. And the source reveals that Steve Patch Johnson, Bo's old buddy, was the one who lost the film Melissa found in the first place. So Patch is introduced through this whole Kiriakis mess.
Steve Johnson arrives. Okay, that's another huge character intro. Do Pete and Melissa get away? Okay.
Yeah. They eventually make it back to Salem safely. Pete divorces Ivy, gets engaged to Melissa. Kim and Shane also get engaged right before Kim finds out she's pregnant. Anna and Tony, after everything, finally get married and leave town.
Anna and Tony leave. Wow, end of an era for them. How does the year end?
On a happy note, actually. Calliope and Eugene get married on New Year's Eve.
Oh, that's nice. So 1985 was huge for introductions. Victor, Shane, Steve. It went international, introduced big mysteries like Power Purse Pawn, and tangled everyone up in this complex web of crime, secrets, and relationships.
Definitely a crucial year for expanding the cast and the scope of the drama, setting up conflicts that would run for a long, long time.
Okay, heading into 1986. The source promises paternity bombshells, returns, and some real tragedies.
The year starts by resolving a dark storyline. Remember the rapist attacking women in Salem?
Yeah, that was terrifying. Did they catch him?
Yes. He's revealed to be Ian Melissa's ex-lover, the parole officer she had the affair with.
Ian. Wow. Okay, so that terror ends. Melissa's love life is still messy.
Oh, completely. She finds out Pete's involved in illegal stuff and falls for a Soviet dancer named Lars England.
A Soviet dancer.
Okay. But then Pete gets hurt, saving Bo's life, and Melissa feels obligated to stay with him. And here's the kicker. The source reveals Pete's paralysis is psychosomatic. He's faking it to keep Melissa.
He's faking paralysis. That is seriously manipulative.
Mm-hmm.
Who else is back?
Kayla Brady returns, opens a waterfront clinic, and she starts falling for Steve Johnson, who's currently working for Victor Kiriakis.
Easing Kayla. Patch and his sweetness. Their iconic romance starts here, amidst the villain plots.
Exactly. And now, the biggest bombshell maybe of the whole decade.
Oh boy, what is it?
Victor Kiriakis is Beau Brady's biological father.
What? Victor is Beau's dad. How?
Result of an affair Caroline had with Victor years ago, it completely rewrites Beau's identity, his relationship with Victor, with the Bradys, everything.
That is absolutely massive. How does Beau handle it?
Well, as part of a plot against Victor, Beau and Hope, who's pregnant, move into the Kiriakis mansion.
Okay.
But tragically, Hope suffers a miscarriage while living there.
Oh no, a miscarriage. After the paternity reveal, that's just heartbreaking for them.
Immense pain on top of the identity crisis. It's brutal. This year also brings a mysterious new guy to town, John Black.
John Black arrives.
And Marlena, still grieving dead Roman, becomes convinced this enigmatic pawn figure is Roman. They reunite.
Okay, the John Black mystery begins. Who is he really? Is he Roman? That's going to drive storylines for ages. Who else returns?
Jennifer Horton comes back as a runaway from boarding school but gets her life back on track living with Tom and Alice. Brings the Hortons back into focus.
Good to have Jennifer back.
Yeah.
Marlena seems to attract danger. Does anything happen to her?
Constantly. She saves her friend Matt from falling off a ledge but almost unalived herself in the process. Ends up in a coma for nearly a month.
A coma. She survives one near-death experience.
Only to face another. After she recovers and remarries Roman because, yes, she thinks John Black is Roman, she gets kidnapped by a new villain named Orpheus.
Kidnapped again?
Yeah.
Who's Orpheus?
Seems to be a new threat. Roman and friends track them all the way to Stockholm, Sweden, and rescue her with ISA help. Global Rescue Mission number. I've lost count.
It's a pattern. Hero missing presumed dead, global search, dramatic rescue. Okay. What else is shifting?
Liz and Neil divorce. Liz leaves Salem again. Mike Horton gets involved with Dr. Robin Jacobs. Stitt has a brief thing with an old flame, Britta, who's working for Victor, but she leaves. Shane and Kim. More drama.
Oh no. Oh no.
They separate because Kim worries her baby might be Victor's, which, after the affair, is a valid fear. They get back together, but then their baby, Andrew, gets kidnapped, and they separate again.
Kidnapped baby, that's awful. It seems like personal lives are constantly getting tangled in the villain plots.
Totally interconnected. Kidnappings, affairs, paternity questions, all fuel each other. And the year ends on some incredibly dark notes. Around Christmas, Marlena is presumed dead, again, this time in an explosion set by Orpheus.
Presumed dead again? Seriously?
Yep. And then on New Year's Eve, Shane Donovan finds the bruised dead body of his ex-wife, Emma.
Emma's body. Oh my gosh, what a horrifying end to the year. 1986 sounds emotionally devastating. Miscarriage, kidnappings, the Beau paternity reveal, John Black's arrival, presumed deaths.
Definitely a year of huge emotional punches and game-changing twists. It solidified core relationships like Steve and Kayla while launching mysteries that would define the show for years. Gut-wrenching stuff.
Okay, let's brace ourselves for 1987. The source material talks about significant new arrivals, more medical drama, and plots going international again.
Starts by cleaning up the 1986 cliffhanger. Kim was charged with Emma's murder, remember?
Right. Shane found the body. Does he clear her?
He does, proves her innocence, and finds their kidnapped baby, Andrew. So Andrew's back safe, Kim's cleared, and they finally get married.
Okay, good. A happy moment for Shane and Kim after all that. Does Victor cause more trouble?
He tries, attempts to get custody of Andrew, escalating the feud, but Shane is proven to be the father, so Victor loses that battle.
Take that, Victor. But Shane gets new complications.
Yep. A young woman named Eve Barron arrives, claiming to be Shane's daughter, causes instant friction with Kimberly, naturally.
Another secret daughter. It's raining secret kids in Salem. What about Marlena? Still presumed dead?
Still presumed dead from the Orpheus explosion, yes. But surprise, she's alive. Orpheus is holding her prisoner. Roman tracks her down. But her plane crashes on the way home, and she's presumed dead. Yet again.
Her plane crashes. Is she cursed? That's, what, the third time presumed dead in 2 years? Unbelievable.
Fallon cannot catch a break. Meanwhile, Victor does a 180. He fakes proof that Beau isn't his son and dramatically disowns him.
Disowns Beau after the big reveal last year. Why?
Who knows Victor's motives? Maybe just control. Anyway, Beau and Hope's son, Sean Douglas, is born this year.
Sean D is born. Yay.
And the new family decides to just leave. They take off on a sailboat for a trip around the world.
Beau, Hope, and baby Sean leave town. Wow, that's a major exit for a core couple. Who fills the gap?
Jennifer Horton gets more involved, starts dating Frankie. Frankie and his brother Max are staying with Sean and Caroline Brady, connecting them to the family. And this year also brings Adrian Johnson to town.
Adrian Johnson arrives. Steve's sister. What's her story?
It's rough. The source details her father, Duke, grapes her. She shoots him in self-defense.
Oh my God, that's terrible.
Yeah. Steve takes the blame because Adrian blocked the memory of the trauma. But the charges are dropped when her memory returns. After all that, she gets involved with Victor's nephew, Justin Kyriakis.
Adrian and Justin. Another major couple starts amidst trauma and family loyalty. What else is happening?
A new mystery kicks off involving a computer disk. Dr. Robin Jacobs gets shot while reading it. She recovers, but it affects her relationship with Mike Horton, who's been reconnecting with his old friend Diana Colville.
Diana Colville returns. Is she connected to the disk?
She gets involved with Victor, claiming she wants info on the disk, but the source says she's really in love with Roman. Victor's also fighting a rival named Serena over the same disk. It's the new MacGuffin driving the plot.
A mysterious disk everyone wants. Where does this lead?
Justin and Adrian get married in Greece. Very romantic. Roman and Diana follow Victor and Serena there, probably chasing the disk or Victor.
International intrigue again. Greece this time? Does it end well?
Not for Serena. She tries to kill Roman in Greece. He shoots her in self-defense right before Diana can reveal Serena is her mother.
He kills Diana's mother. Oh, the tragic timing. That's brutal. What about Steve and Kayla?
Steve gets set up, agrees to pose as Senator Devereaux's assassin, realizes it's a trap. He and Kayla go on the run together to clear his name.
On the run. That brings them closer, I bet. And the Devereaux family expands.
Yes, Senator Devereaux's son, Jack Devereaux, arrives in Salem. He has Hodgkin's disease and falls for his nurse, Kayla.
Jack arrives and falls for Kayla. Uh-oh. Love triangle.
Big time. Then Steve finds out Jack is his biological brother.
Steve and Jack are brothers. Whoa. How does Steve react?
In this incredibly self-sacrificing way. The source says he pretends he doesn't love Kayla anymore, hoping that seeing her marry Jack will give Jack the will to live and fight the Hodgkins.
He gives up Kayla for his brother's health. That's intense. Do Jack and Kayla actually marry?
They do, but the source clarifies they don't consummate the marriage.
Wow. 1987 introduced so many key players. Adrienne, Justin, Diana, Jack, expanding all the core families. It mixed medical drama, amnesia, international plots, and that huge sacrifice from Steve. The complexity just keeps growing.
Absolutely. Continued the high-stakes drama, pushed characters constantly, and layered in more family secrets and global adventures, nonstop.
Okay, let's dive into 1988. The source promises medical miracles, a new nightmare, and the Bradys ending up captive on an island.
The Steve, Kayla, Jack triangle gets even more complicated. Steve and Kayla start seeing each other secretly, despite her marriage to Jack.
Secret affair. What happens when Jack finds out?
It's bad. The source notes Jack finds out and he grapes Kayla.
He grapes her? Oh my God, Jack. That's horrific.
It's a truly dark turn. Steve finds out. He and Jack fight. Jack falls off a roof.
Jack falls off a roof. Does he survive?
He does, because Steve donates a kidney to save his life.
Steve donates a kidney to Jack after Jack attacked Kayla and they fought. Wow. That is incredibly complex family dynamics, forgiveness, and sacrifice on a whole other level.
But it really highlights those intense bonds and betrayals. While that's unfolding, Kimberly leaves town. Eve's mother, Gabrielle, shows up. Turns out she was Shane's ex-ISA partner and lover. More romantic history for Shane.
Always more past lovers. What about Adrian and Justin?
Strain continues. Adrian suffers a miscarriage, which hurts their marriage. Angelica Devereaux, Jack's sister, has an affair with Justin during this time.
Angelica and Justin have an affair, while Adrian is grieving. Ouch!
Yeah. And Adrian, feeling despondent, has her own affair with Amelia Ramirez. Then Angelica finds out she's pregnant from the affair, but won't say who the father is. Another paternity secret.
So many affairs and secrets. What about this knifer?
A new terror hits Salem. The riverfront knifer starts attacking women. The source lists Kim, Gabrielle, Eve. He kills Grace Forrester and Janice Barnes, and he attacks Kayla.
Attacks Kayla, too. Does anything happen to her?
Yes, there's an explosion related to the knifer attack, and it causes Kayla to lose her memory of the attack and lose both her hearing and her speech.
Loses memory, hearing, AD speech, all at once, from one incident. That poor woman.
It's an absolutely devastating blow for her. The knifer tries to kill Kim and Kayla again, but is finally caught. And the killer is revealed to be Senator Harper Devereaux, Jack and Angelica's father.
The senator was the knifer, keeping the villainy in the family, I see. That's shocking.
Deeply personal conflict again. Meanwhile, Roman Brady, or John Black, whoever he is, starts having these mysterious trances, remembering flashes of his past.
Trances, remembering his past. Ah, the John Black mystery deepens. probably tied to Stefano and his death.
Highly likely. But amidst the darkness, there's a miracle. Kayla. She regains her hearing and speech, just in time to say her wedding vows to Steve.
She gets her voice and hearing back. Right at the wedding. Oh, that's amazing. They finally get married.
Such a powerful, triumphant moment after everything. They go on honeymoon to the Orient and return with a deaf child named Benji.
They adopt a child, Benji.
Seems like it. But then, the source reveals Benji is kidnapped by his evil father, Stefano Demera.
Stefano kidnaps the child. Why?
Apparently blaming Roman for Benji's deafness. Twisted logic. Thankfully, Benji is rescued by his maternal grandfather, Orion.
Stefano is back and immediately targeting children. Vile. What else happens?
Shane and Kimberly return from their honeymoon in England with Shane's twin brother, Drew Donovan.
Shane has a twin, a boy, another twin. Let me guess. He's evil.
You got it. The source reveals Drew is secretly working for Stefano, and Stefano launches his biggest attack yet, kidnaps Carrie Brady, then manages to capture the entire Brady family and takes them to his island.
Captures the whole Brady family? That's insane. What's his plan?
Total control and revenge. The source describes him putting Roman into a trance, hypnotizing him, ordering him to kill everyone.
Orders Roman to kill his family. Can anyone stop him?
Diana Colville manages to snap Roman out of it, but it shows Stefano's terrifying ability to manipulate minds.
Wow, 1988 was just relentless. Medical crises and miracles, a high-profile serial killer, affairs, kidnappings, twins, mind control, the entire Brady family held hostage. It feels like the drama reached a fever pitch.
Absolutely. It pushed the personal stakes sky high and showcased Stefano's ultimate ruthlessness, targeting entire families and exploiting every vulnerability. Just non-stop intensity.
Okay, final year in our source material, 1989. What happens as the decade closes? Engagements, departures, and a hunt for a key.
Roman and Diana Colville get engaged. Maybe some happiness for Roman finally.
Let's hope. What about Benji?
Orion returns for Benji, so that storyline gets some closure. Justin and Adrian, after all their drama, get back together. Emilio and Jennifer Horton get involved after Frankie leaves town.
Okay, relationship musical chairs continues. Does Diana get her happy ending with Roman?
Sadly, no. Her past comes back. A guy named Cal Winters shows up, claims he's her husband, tries to reclaim her. He attempts to shoot Roman.
Oh, no.
But Diana accidentally shoots Cal herself. She's overwhelmed by guilt and her past resurfacing, and she leaves town.
Another potential happiness destroyed by the past. Poor Diana. What else is happening?
Eve Barron gets held hostage by someone named Eddie, but her former pimp, Nick Corelli, actually helps rescue her. Shows a different side of Nick.
Mick the pimp plays hero. Interesting. Angelica had Justin's baby, right?
Yep, Alexander. She's married to Neil Curtis now, but she gives birth to Justin's son and keeps it secret from Justin initially.
Another ticking time bomb paternity secret.
Right.
Does the affair fallout continue?
Massively. Justin finds out about Adrian and Emilio, tries to kill Emilio, causes an accident, injuring himself. Emilio rescues him, but then Emilio tampers with the brakes on Justin's car.
Emilio sabotages Justin's car.
With?
After saving him. What is wrong with these people?
Right. Jennifer gets in the sabotaged car, adding to the danger. Emilio confesses what he did before skipping town. Then Justin finally learns Alexander is his son. Adrian sees Justin's concern for Angelica over the baby and leaves him.
That is a whirlwind of betrayal, attempted murder, confession, reveal, and breakup. Just boom, boom, boom. So much drama.
Absolutely devastating consequences. Steve Johnson goes undercover this year, his target, an evangelist preacher named Saul Taylor.
Undercover against a preacher. Is he corrupt?
Totally. Steve exposes him as a cult leader and criminal. Taylor, along with a military type, Colonel Jericho, cause a lot of trouble.
A cult leader villain. That's different. What happens with Colonel Jericho?
He kidnaps Shane Donovan. Shane is leading Marcus Hunter somewhere in South Carolina. Jericho grabs him. Shane's thought killed in an explosion.
Shane's presumed dead now. Of course he is. Does he get amnesia too?
Bingo. Escapes Jericho but loses his memory. Sets up a new life with a woman named Rebecca Downey. Scott Banning also returns to Salem around this time.
Presumed dead A&D amnesia. The classic combo strikes again. What about Mike Horton?
Mike and April Ramirez get engaged. But then Robin Jacobs returns with Jeremy, who is revealed to be Mike's son.
Mike has a secret son. Another one. How does April react?
Surprisingly well initially, wants them to be a family, but ultimately, she marries Nick Corelli, who's now running a legit club called Wings. Robin and Jeremy move to New York. April stays married to Nick.
Okay, resolution for Mike and Robin. They leave town. What's this about a key?
Right at the end of the year, a major wrench is thrown into Steve and Kayla's life. Marina Toscano arrives.
Who's Marina Toscano?
Steve's presumed dead wife.
Steve has another presumed dead wife.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Is she trouble?
Big trouble. The source reveals she's secretly working for Victor Kiriakis. Victor wants Steve to find some mysterious key that Marina is also after.
A treasure hunt. With Victor involved, this sounds dangerous.
Very. Steve also finds out Marina's sister, Isabella, is locked away in a sanitarium but is actually sane. Suggests Marina and Victor are up to some shady stuff with her, too.
Definitely. Does Steve find the key?
He finds a key, Victor gets it. Then Marina is mysteriously murdered.
Marina's murdered. Who did it?
Source doesn't say. Victor realizes the key he got is a fake and flies into a rage. He tries to kill Steve and Kayla, who is now pregnant again.
Tries to kill pregnant Kayla.
Yeah.
That monster.
Steve manages to hide pregnant Kayla away in a lighthouse for safety as the year ends.
Ending the decade on a cliffhanger. Steve hiding pregnant Kayla from Victor. At one last bit of heartache.
Yep. Kimberly, believing Shane is dead from the explosion, makes love with Cal Winters.
Oh, Kimberly. That's going to cause problems when Shane inevitably returns with amnesia.
You know it will. So 1989 wraps the decade with engagements falling apart, characters leaving under duress, paternity secrets exploding, heroes presumed dead with amnesia, and this huge key mystery putting Steve and Kayla in mortal danger from Victor. It leaves everything hanging, ready for the 90s.
Wow. Just wow. Going through these recaps year by year for the 1980s of Days of Our Lives, it's genuinely staggering. The sheer amount of plot.
It really is. From 1980s family secrets and business deals.
Through serial killers, MPD, the Demera invasion, global spy plots, plane crashes, island survival.
Evil twins, fake deaths practically every other Tuesday, amnesia epidemics, kidnappings, cult leaders, treasure hunts.
It's relentless. The escalation is incredible.
It really highlights how central those villains like Stefano and Victor became, just pulling strings everywhere, and how resilient, or maybe just incredibly unlucky, the heroes were, navigating this constant chaos.
And sometimes making questionable choices themselves along the way. Affairs, secrets.
Oh yeah, nobody's perfect in Salem. That's for sure.
This deep dive definitely gave us that comprehensive overview we wanted, just from the source material. It's amazing how much ground we covered. What stands out most to you, looking back at the whole decade through these recaps? The sheer volume, the crazy twists, specific characters.
For me, it's maybe the patterns. You really see those storytelling engines firing constantly. The presumed deaths, the amnesia, the kidnappings, the secret babies.
Right. It makes you think. If we look at that constant cycle, fake deaths, amnesia, people popping back up years later based just on this 1980s source material, what does that tell us about the rules of storytelling in this specific world? You know?
That's a great point. How does that kind of heightened reality, that reliance on these specific dramatic devices, compare to stories we see elsewhere, like in movies or prestige TV today? It's definitely a different beast, isn't it? This long-form, serialized drama has its own unique rhythm.
Its own kind of logic almost.
Yeah.
Where reality is flexible and amnesia is practically a rite of passage.
Huh. Exactly. It's fascinating to dissect.
Well, thank you so much for joining us on this, frankly, epic deep dive into the Days of Our Lives 1980s based on this fantastic source material. What a ride.
It really was. Thanks for having me.
And thank you for listening. If you enjoyed this trip back to 80 Salem, please make sure you hit that like button and subscribe so you don't miss our next deep dive.
And we'd love to hear from you.
Absolutely. Drop a comment below. Tell us what you think was the wildest, most memorable, or maybe just your favorite moment from Days of Our Lives in the 1980s. We want to know.
We really appreciate you tuning in. We'll look forward to exploring more source material with you next time.